The film begins in 1964. Lorraine and her husband Ed are inside a tea shop after a young girl calls them for help. Her father had always claimed that something evil lived inside the shop. At first, the girl never believed him, but one day, without any clear reason, her father hanged himself. And from that moment, the same evil presence began haunting her. Lorraine goes inside the shop and notices a mirror. The moment she looks at it, she senses a frightened soul trapped inside, along with a dark and dangerous energy. When Lorraine touches the mirror, she begins seeing terrifying visions, as if the evil force is trying to possess her unborn child. Suddenly, a storm begins outside, and Lorraine starts suffering from severe stomach pain. She is immediately taken to the hospital, where she gives birth to a baby girl. But tragically, the baby is stillborn. The moment the child is born, paranormal events begin happening throughout the hospital. The lights flicker and go out. Objects break during the violent storm, and even the doctors become terrified by what they are witnessing. Lorraine senses the same evil energy from the mirror behind everything happening around her. Crying in fear, she prays to God to save her daughter. Then, unbelievably, just a minute later, the baby comes back to life. Because of the strange way she was born, this child could never be a normal human being. Just like her mother, she starts seeing evil visions from childhood, and those visions constantly frighten her. Lorraine wants her daughter Judy to live a normal life, so she tells her that these visions are nothing more than hallucinations. She also teaches Judy a protective prayer to keep those evil things away. Since Judy's birth, Lorraine has never gone near the mirror case again, because she knows its evil energy wants to harm her daughter. Even though Lorraine and Ed have solved thousands of paranormal cases, they have always kept Judy far away from that world. The movie then moves forward almost 22 years. We are introduced to John's family, a large family of 9 members who have just moved into a new house. John brings an antique mirror as a gift for his daughter, not realizing it is the same evil mirror from the beginning of the film. The moment the mirror enters the house, its dark energy begins to show itself. While the family prepares to cut a cake together, the candles suddenly go out. At the same time, part of the ceiling collapses and falls on them, badly injuring John's daughter. At this point, the movie reveals that this incident was based on one of the most dangerous paranormal cases in Lorraine and Ed's lives. It affected them deeply and became one of the most terrifying events they ever faced. The story then returns to Lorraine at home, where she is having dinner with her family. Suddenly, she sees a dark hand resting on Judy's shoulder. Judy can see it too. Lorraine calmly signals Judy to relax and reminds her of the same protective prayer she taught her years ago. Judy begins reciting it, and the dark hand disappears. But this time, Lorraine is truly frightened. She realizes that the energy around Judy is the same powerful evil force that appeared when Judy was born. Meanwhile, back at the house where the mirror is kept, strange things begin happening again. A doll starts floating in the air and making disturbing noises, and John's daughter witnesses everything with her own eyes. In the same house, we also see Janet, the wife of John's son. While washing clothes, she hears footsteps behind her, even though nobody is there. Later, Janet is in the kitchen, talking on the phone. Suddenly, someone behind her begins pulling the phone line. At first, she thinks it might be the children playing a prank, but when she turns around, there are no children there. Realizing something invisible is standing near her, Janet becomes terrified. At the same time, John's daughter, who had earlier seen the doll floating in the air, now sees an old ghost standing behind it. The children become so terrified that when John, his father, and her brother return home that night, she immediately tells them everything she saw, but none of them believe her. However, Janet is already convinced that something is terribly wrong with the house because strange things have been happening to her since morning. Here we see Heather, the same girl who was injured when the ceiling collapsed. She tells her sister that she does not like the mirror, especially the wax seal on it, because it truly scares her. Her sister teases her at first, but later she helps Heather take the mirror out of the house. They carry the mirror outside to throw it away. The next morning, municipal workers arrive and take the mirror away. But the moment the mirror falls inside their truck, it suddenly breaks. At the same time, inside the house, John's daughter begins vomiting blood. Shockingly, the broken pieces of the mirror from the truck start coming out of her mouth. Seeing her horrifying condition, the family rushes her to the doctor. After this incident, everyone finally becomes convinced that something evil is truly connected to the house. The scene then cuts to Ed at the doctor's office. The doctor tells him that his heart is no longer in good condition. If he suffers another heart attack, his body may not survive it. Because of this, Ed must take extra care of himself and stop getting involved in dangerous paranormal cases. After hearing this, Ed returns home. There, his daughter Judy tells him that she has invited a friend to her birthday party and that he is the person she wants to marry. The next day, during Judy's birthday party, we see her with her friend Tony. During the celebration, Ed takes the guests to his museum, where he has locked evil energies inside cursed objects. In simple terms, it is like trapping a djinn inside a bottle. In the same way, Ed has captured dark energies inside paintings, dolls, and other haunted artifacts. All the guests follow Ed to see the museum. But Tony stays behind because he is too frightened to enter. Instead, he goes to Judy's room. When Judy enters the room, she is shocked to see the Annabelle doll sitting on her rocking chair. This is the same doll she has always feared. But this time, Tony is with her, and because of that, Judy quickly regains control of herself and breaks free from Annabelle's influence. Just then, Lorraine enters the room and tells Tony that Ed is waiting for him in the playroom. After Tony leaves, Lorraine asks Judy what has been happening to her lately and why she seems so frightened. Judy tells her mother that she does not understand what is going on. Lorraine then explains that Judy is a medium, just like her, and that she can sense things others cannot. But Lorraine warns her about one thing. She tells Judy never to get involved with these evil forces because they have already ruined Lorraine's life. A little later, Tony speaks to Lorraine about Judy and their future together. He even proposes to Judy, making the moment emotional for the family. Meanwhile, a church priest comes to meet Lorraine and Ed. He tells them about a family that is suffering from terrifying paranormal events. The family he is talking about is John's family, whose house has now become filled with evil activity. The priest requests Lorraine and Ed to help them. Ed agrees to take the case, but Lorraine refuses. At that moment, she only wants to focus on Judy's wedding and keep her family away from danger. The scene then shifts back to John's house, where the entire family is living in fear. John and his son return home looking deeply disturbed. John's daughter, who had earlier vomited glass from her mouth, is now completely terrified. She argues with John and begs him to take the whole family out of the house and stay in a hotel. But John and his son do not have enough money to arrange a hotel for everyone. Because of this, the family has no choice but to remain inside the house. That night, everyone tries to sleep. But after midnight, John's son suddenly begins suffering. In the middle of the night, he is lifted from his bed and suspended in the air. An invisible evil force begins choking him by the throat, and his condition becomes worse with every passing second. The next morning, John's son watches the video from the day when the ceiling collapsed. But while watching it, he suddenly becomes terrified because he notices something strange standing near him in the footage. It is the same entity that had delivered the candles that day, and because the girl also sees the entity in the video, it suddenly appears right in front of her. The entity looks like a tall man with long hair. He walks toward her in rage, holding an axe, as if he is ready to kill her. The girl screams loudly, and her scream wakes everyone in the house. Since two people have now experienced a terrifying attack at the same time, the entire family becomes even more frightened. The next morning, Janet and her husband, Jack, call the media and explain everything happening inside their house. Soon, their story becomes a major topic, with people talking about how one family is being tortured by evil forces. Meanwhile, Lorraine is at a boutique to choose Judy's wedding dress. The designer is Lorraine's friend, and she is also watching Janet's interview on the news. But when Lorraine arrives, the designer quickly turns off the news channel because she does not want Lorraine to get disturbed or lose interest as a customer. While Judy is inside the changing room, someone suddenly knocks on the door. Judy thinks it is her mother, but But when she opens the door, she sees the same old woman's ghost that was earlier seen inside Janet's house. The ghost immediately grabs Judy by the throat and begins choking her. Judy struggles for her life, but then she remembers the protective prayer her mother taught her. Judy begins reciting the prayer, and the ghost suddenly disappears. Judy feels relieved for a moment, but when she looks into the mirror, she becomes even more frightened. Lorraine enters the room to check Judy's dress, and she also sees the terrifying vision, leaving her shocked. The story then returns to John's family. John's wife becomes seriously ill and suffers a heart attack. Her condition becomes so dangerous that the family quickly rushes her to the hospital. Meanwhile, Lorraine's close friend, the father, arrives at the family's house without telling anyone. He has come to help them and goes down into the basement to perform prayers against the evil energy. As he pours holy water into the basement, the water suddenly evaporates. The vapor rises into the air, and inside that vapor, the father sees something horrifying. Terrified by what he has witnessed, the father promises the family that he will return. Then he immediately leaves to meet Ed. When he reaches Ed's house, Ed's family is not there. So the father decides to sit and wait for them. But as he sits there, his nose suddenly starts bleeding. At the same time, the phone rings. The father answers the call, and a quiet, disturbing voice tells him that his work is finished and that he can leave. The call ends. Suddenly, the doors close by themselves, the lights go out, and the entire room is swallowed by darkness. Then, the objects in the room begin to change. The knobs turn upside down, and even the knob holding the Holy Cross also flips upside down, showing that evil energy has taken control of the room. The father realizes that a demon has entered the house. He quickly picks up the crucifix to protect himself, but even the crucifix catches fire in his hand. Seeing the holy object burn, the father panics and becomes completely terrified. That fear gives the evil energy power over him. Within moments, the demon possesses him, and the father ends up strangling himself with a wire. Later, Lorraine and Ed are devastated by his death. At the father's funeral, Judy touches his grave, and suddenly, she sees a strange and terrifying vision. After seeing the strange vision at father's grave, Judy questions the church members about where father had gone before his death. They then tell her about John's family and the terrifying incidents happening inside their house. The next scene shows Lorraine at home, washing dishes. Suddenly, she sees a disturbing vision. Judy's locket falls into the water, but instead of seeing Judy's picture inside it, Lorraine sees blood. Within seconds, the entire kitchen appears to be filled with blood. Lorraine becomes terrified, and Ed quickly holds her. She immediately understands the meaning of this vision. Her daughter Judy's life is now in danger. Just then, Judy's fiancé arrives and tells them that Judy has gone to John's house, the same house filled with evil energy. Lorraine tells Ed that they will not get involved in the case. They will only bring Judy back and leave. But when Lorraine and Ed reach the house, Jack and Janet are already waiting for them. Seeing them, they become extremely relieved, believing that experts have finally arrived to help their family. Jack and Janet explain that they went to the media only because they were desperate for help. But instead of supporting them, people have started accusing them of faking the whole haunting. Even after hearing this, Lorraine still wants to leave. She is determined not to get involved. But Judy stops her and asks why they cannot help this family when they have already helped thousands of people before. Judy also says that the secret behind father's death is hidden inside this house. She wants Ed and Lorraine to investigate and help the family. Hearing this, Ed and Lorraine finally agree. Ed brings his equipment, turns on his recorder, and begins interviewing the family about everything that happened. Meanwhile, Lorraine starts touching objects around the house, trying to sense the energy connected to them. Judy takes the children into another room and calmly asks them about what they experienced, telling them not to panic. While investigating the house, Lorraine goes upstairs and sees a doll behind Judy. She feels that the doll has moved by itself. But before she can take it, one of the girls arrives and takes the doll away. Then Lorraine enters another room, where she feels something like a hand moving under the bedsheet. This confirms her fear that an evil presence is definitely inside the house. She senses that the energy is coming from above. Then she notices 3 strange, transparent holes on a door. The moment she sees them, Lorraine understands the tragic story behind the house. She goes to Ed and explains that there are actually 3 spirits inside the house: a woman, her daughter, and her husband. Lorraine says the husband who once lived there was extremely cruel. He abused his wife, even though she was the one earning money for the family. To escape her painful life, the woman became close to another man, but when her husband found out, he became furious. In rage, he took an axe and brutally killed his wife and daughter. After that, he took his own life. This long-haired man is the same ghost that John's daughter had seen earlier. After hearing this, Ed says these are only ordinary spirits and there is nothing to fear. He says they have already dealt with many trapped souls before, so this case should not be difficult. But Lorraine explains that the story is not that simple. These 3 ghosts are only puppets. Behind them, there is another powerful evil force controlling everything and pushing them to commit terrifying acts. Lorraine says she cannot see that evil force clearly, and that is what makes this case so dangerous and stressful. Ed then asks an important question. If there really is an evil force inside the house, why has it not possessed anyone yet? He reminds Lorraine that in all their previous cases, the evil energy always possessed someone. So he wonders what is different about this case. At that moment, the scene cuts to Judy, who suddenly hears her mother's voice coming from upstairs. Following the voice, Judy walks up to the attic. There she finds the same mirror from the beginning of the movie, the one that holds the powerful evil energy. From Lorraine's earlier vision, we already know that this evil force has always wanted Judy. Now, the mystery finally begins to make sense. The evil did not possess the family because that was never its real goal. It only wanted to terrify them enough to bring Lorraine and Judy into the house. And now, Judy is exactly where it wanted her to be. Judy touches the mirror, and suddenly, strange activity begins inside the room. A message appears saying, "Miss me?" These words are connected to the Annabelle doll because Judy has always been terrified of it. The evil force uses Judy's fear against her. Judy runs into another room in panic, but there, the Annabelle doll suddenly appears and grows terrifyingly large. Frightened, Judy tries to escape and go downstairs. But before she can leave, an invisible force knocks her down the stairs. Hearing Judy fall, everyone rushes toward her. Judy tells Lorraine that something is upstairs in the attic. When Lorraine reaches the mirror, she is shaken with fear. The same evil force she has been running from for years, the same force she tried to keep away from her daughter, is now standing in front of them again. The moment Lorraine touches the mirror, she feels an even darker and more dangerous energy inside it. She then tells everyone the truth about the mirror. Ed and Lorraine had found this mirror at the very beginning of their career. But after the terrifying visions Lorraine saw that day, and after Judy almost died during birth, they became too afraid of it. Because of that fear, they never solved the case. They never even found out what happened to the girl who first called them for help. The real evil had always been inside the mirror. Now, they decide to take the mirror to their home museum, where they keep other cursed objects safely locked away. They begin preparing to remove the mirror from the house. But the dog starts barking uncontrollably, as if it can sense the danger. To avoid looking into the mirror, they cover it with a sheet and secure it tightly with several belts. Their plan is to carry it out without letting the cover come loose. But just as they try to lift it, the mirror suddenly becomes extremely heavy. Ed immediately understands that the evil force is resisting them because it does not want the mirror to leave the house. At the same time, Tony tries to start the car, but it refuses to start. Meanwhile, Judy's condition begins getting worse. Then the belts around the mirror slowly begin to loosen by themselves. The cover suddenly falls off, and Jack accidentally looks inside the mirror. The evil energy immediately attacks him. It lifts him into the air and throws him down the stairs. Ed tries to hold the mirror alone, but he cannot control it, and the mirror crashes to the ground. At that moment, Tony finally manages to start the car and brings it near the house. But suddenly, the ghost of the old woman appears in front of his car, almost causing another accident. Hearing the commotion, Lorraine comes outside and senses something is terribly wrong. She immediately rushes to check on Judy. As soon as Lorraine arrives, the evil energy speaks through the situation, calling her closer. It says that it has been waiting for Lorraine and Judy for a long time, and that Judy belongs to it. Before Lorraine can do anything, Judy suddenly attacks her in rage and pushes her away. Lorraine falls down into the basement and becomes unconscious. The dog barks furiously at Judy, but Judy picks it up and throws it aside. Just then, Ed arrives and sees Judy's terrifying condition. He tries to calm her down and tells her to come back to her senses. Ed reminds Judy that she has great strength inside her and that she can fight this evil. But Judy does not regain control. Instead, the evil force attacks Ed by manipulating his weak heart, putting his life in serious danger. Ed's condition quickly becomes worse, and he suffers another heart attack. While trying to take his medicine, the tablets fall out of his pocket, leaving him struggling to reach them. Meanwhile, Tony tries to enter the house from outside, but all the doors are locked. With no other choice, he looks for another way in and finally reaches the basement. Inside the basement, Tony finds Lorraine unconscious. At the same time, the axe-wielding ghost appears and is about to attack her. But Tony arrives at the right moment and saves Lorraine. Here, we also see the ghost's wife. She is the same spirit who helped Tony open the basement door and enter the house, proving that not every spirit inside the house wants to hurt them. Tony then takes Lorraine upstairs. By this time, Ed has managed to take his medicine and his condition is slowly improving. Now, Ed and Lorraine understand the truth clearly. The evil entity's real target is Judy. They send John's entire family out of the house and begin their final mission to save their daughter. Inside the house, the evil entity has lifted Judy into the air. The moment Ed and Lorraine arrive, it throws Judy down and she stops breathing. They immediately begin giving Judy CPR, while Ed's own health starts getting worse again. Lorraine then sees the evil entity's hand resting on her shoulder. But this time, instead of panicking, she stays strong and begins chanting the protective prayer. For a moment, the evil entity releases both Judy and Ed. But it does not stop there. It now captures Tony. Suddenly, the mirror rises into the air and spins violently around the room. Then it crashes down toward Tony. Seeing the situation getting worse, Ed takes his Bible and begins performing an exorcism. The evil entity becomes furious after hearing the exorcism. It sets Ed's Bible on fire, burning his hand, and even uses its power to silence him. But Ed refuses to give up. He gathers his strength again and starts reciting the words from the Bible once more. With courage, Ed places the same Bible on top of the mirror. This causes the evil entity to suffer even more. To escape the pain, the entity tries to force everyone out of the room. But Ed, Lorraine, Judy, and Tony refuse to leave. Judy and Lorraine realize that their protective prayer alone is no longer enough. This time, they must use their inner strength and face the evil directly. Together, they place their hands on the mirror along with the Bible and begin reciting the prayer. Finally, the evil entity is trapped inside the mirror once again. With this, Judy, Lorraine, and John's entire family are saved from the evil force, and their lives slowly return to normal. At the end of the movie, we see Tony and Judy's wedding. A little later, Lorraine tells Ed that she has seen a vision of their future. In that future, they become grandparents, their lives become calmer, and people finally start believing their paranormal cases. They are shown giving interviews about their experiences, and after many years, the world finally accepts that their stories were true. The movie ends by showing footage from many of their real cases, reminding us that according to Lorraine Warren, these events really happened.